It's that time. Time to move your family to a new home. Congrats on reaching this milestone in your lives. But now what? Welcome back to Jen Talks Real Estate. My name is Jen Fazekas, and I am a licensed associate real estate broker with the Good Neighbors team at Hunt Real Estate. This is the first video of a 3-part series designed to help educate buyers like you to help make sure that when you are buying a new home, you have the best experience possible. So when we're getting started to buy a house, before we even go see a house, there are 3 things that you need to do. So step 1 to buying a house around Buffalo, it's pretty simple. Most people overlook it though. You would be surprised. Most buyers do not do this and it ends up biting them in the face later. So please do this. Step 1 is make a plan. Now, I know it's a little weird and I can feel all of the other agents on YouTube glaring at me when they go and then say that the first step should be getting your financing worked out. But that's actually not the first thing you need to do. You need to have a plan worked out before you even think about talking to a lender or even to some extent an agent. Now that you've decided to buy the home, here are some questions that you need to ask yourself. When do you need to move by? Do you have a lease that's running out? Do you need to have your kids moved into their new school district by a certain date? Is someone starting a new job, so there's a certain date that you have to be moved in so they can start? Figuring out your timeline will help go and then set the pace for the entire buying experience. So now that you've gone and figured out what your needs are and sort of got the starting of a plan, step 2 is to talk to an agent. I know a lot of people say talk to your lender first and then talk to the agent second once you're financed, but I've found that it actually works out the other way a lot better. Once you're sitting down with your agent, you can go and then sort of get an idea of what you're looking for. Is there a specific location you need to be in? Do you need to be in a school district so your kid doesn't have to change schools? Is your job a town-based job like a police officer that has to live within the certain borders of an area? These things and more are what you should go and discuss with your agent to start coming up with an action plan. Having a buyer's agent to help keep everything organized is a huge game changer. Don't shoot yourself in the foot by dodging it. Also, did I mention that in the Buffalo area, the buyer's agent is generally paid for by the seller? It's not always. Sometimes you'll have a for sale by owner that is absolutely refusing to pay out a commission, but your agent will let you know that before you go and then even start a contract on that house. For the most part, an agent's service for the buyer's side is at no cost to you, or if there is a cost, it is very little. The seller is paying for us for you. Take advantage. Now, finally, once you have an action plan in and we have a game plan going, before we can look at houses, we need to get financed. There are 2 ways that people generally get financed for a home. You either pay cash or you get a mortgage. For cash, it's a little bit quicker of a process. If you have just money in the bank, that's easy enough. You need to make sure your agent has a bank statement that is printed off with your name on it and the amount of cash that is in there that you can spend. You can blank out your account number. They don't need your account number, but it has to have your name, it has to have the amount, and it should also have a date on it that's a recent date. If I'm a listing agent and someone comes to me with a cash offer and a statement that was dated like 6 months ago, I'm not going to accept that as proof of funds because yeah, you had that money 6 months ago, but in 6 months you can spend a lot of money. So make sure that it's up to date. If your finance or if your cash is tied up into something like stocks, that's easy enough as well. Just go to your accountant or whoever is going and then handling that for you, and they can go and then give you a letter that says that you do have that amount of money tied up in assets. For financing, you're going to need to go to a lending institution so you can borrow the money in a mortgage in order to go and then buy your home. You should always go and then talk to more than one lender. And the reason is because different lenders have different programs. Some of them have different programs that offer different interest rates. Some of them have different requirements for your credit score or your debt to income ratio. always go and then ask around to find the best fit that works for you. This is a major purchase. They expect you to talk to more than one person, so you should. Yes, they're all going to check your credit, and there is a thing out there that people think that their credit score is going to go down if they ask more than one person. And if your credit score does go down a little bit because of a lot of checks, the banks will overlook that, because if they look and they see that, oh, you have a thing from KeyBank, you've got one from Hunt Mortgage, and you've got a check from M&T, they know that you're going and then you are just kind of shopping around a bit. They're not going to hold that against you. What they may do is go and then compete to try to get you the best deal, because they want your business. If they know that you're talking to other people, they will do their best to get you an awesome deal so they take care of you. Now, once you pick your lender and you've got your program that you've decided to go through, now we need to go and then figure out how much you're actually going to spend on a house. Because you're going through a mortgage, this is going to sound really weird, but the big number isn't the number that you're worried about. You're not really worried about, is it $250, is it $260? The big number that matters to you in your real life is going to be your monthly payment, because that is the number that you're going to be living with day in and day out. So what they'll do is your lender will go and then figure out, let's say you want to pay $1,500 a month. Then they'll go and they'll say, okay, for $1,500 a month at X in property taxes, this is Y is what you are pre-approved for. If you're looking in multiple areas, the property taxes are super important, because that is part of your monthly payment, and that does give you flexibility with how much you're approved for. So for example, if your lender approves you for property taxes of $5,000 a year, and you go someplace and the taxes on that house are only $4,500 a year, that's going to go and then lower your monthly payment, which means if you need to, you can go up a little bit on the actual offer for the house. Conversely, if you have again, $5,000 for your property taxes, and the property taxes for the house you're looking at are $6,000, even though your letter says you're approved for $250, for that particular house, you cannot do $250, because that will go and then make your monthly payment higher than what you are approved for. Your agent and your lender should work very closely together on this for you to go in and make sure that the houses that you are seeing are houses that you are pre-approved to see. So it's not something you really need to worry about as much, but it is something that you should keep in mind and be aware of. And with your financing, one last quick pro tip. Ask your lenders if they have a pre-approval program versus a pre-qualification program. A pre-qualification is just a letter that they go and you give the bank your information and your credit score and your income, and they type it in a computer, and they'll give you a letter that says, in theory, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're qualified for a $250,000 loan with $5,000 in property taxes. A pre-approval is a little more in depth. The pre-approval means that you go in and you give them everything, your W-2s, your bills, your bank statements, all of that fun stuff. And they start to approve you for your loan preemptively before you get a house. This is advantageous for you for two reasons. Reason number one, this is something you're going to have to do anyway. You may as well get it out of the way now, so that way when you're going and you're making an offer on a house, you have flexibility with the close date. And more flexibility on your part is awesome. Generally, a close date around here is a 60-day close for a mortgage, and most of that time is taken up by underwriting. If you can get the underwriting process started sooner, that's more advantageous for you in the future. And second, this also puts you in a much stronger position if you do run into a multiple offer situation. A pre-qualification letter says, in theory, that you go and you could get, or you should get a loan for this house. A pre-approval letter, in the meantime, says you are approved. You've gone through everything. You're approved for your loan already. All we need is to make sure that the house works and make sure that it goes and passes appraisal. From a listing perspective, the pre-approval will beat out a pre-qualification any day, because with a pre-approval, there's peace of mind for the seller that there's not going to be a last-minute issue that comes up with the bank and makes everything fall apart and makes them have to go and then restart everything. Do you want to know more? If you don't want to wait for the next video to come out, check the link down below and you can download a free copy of my Buyer's Pocket Roadmap that I hand out to all of my clients. It's got some great information in it, and it gives you a quick overview to each step of the home buying process. If you want to catch the second part of the series, make sure to give my channel a nice little subscribe. I have videos that come out every single Wednesday. And finally, if you like the video, I would very much appreciate it if you can tell me by just going in and giving me a little like down there, because that helps out the YouTube algorithm. Thank you all so much, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye now.